What's going on, Perform24 family? This is Levi Jaeckel, and today we're going to be going over 5 exercises to improve your posture. Bad posture is kind of a chicken or an egg situation. Does weakness or dysfunction cause bad posture, or does bad posture cause dysfunction in your musculature? It can be a complicated problem, but these are 5 hot spots that if you're doing these regularly, it will improve your posture. So we've got a couple upper body exercises, a couple lower body exercises, and then a neutral spine core exercise. And then at the end, I'll kind of give you the whole description and break down why these movements work and give you the mechanisms behind good and bad posture. All right, our first exercise is going to be a band pull apart. I like band pull aparts a lot because they are simple, but a lot of people do them incorrectly, okay? I like using this band. You can single this up for a lighter band, or you can double this up for double the resistance, okay? So literally all we're gonna be doing is just squeezing our shoulder blades together on the backside. The fault that most people do is that they shrug their shoulder blades up. So I'm gonna turn around really quick. You wanna make sure that when you're pulling apart, you're putting your shoulder blades into your opposite back pocket, okay? Really squeeze those shoulder blades together. No shrugging, this is a cheat. Keep those shoulder blades down and back. Okay, the second exercise is called a side lying 90-90. And this is a big rotational exercise, a big rotational stretch. A lot of people with bad posture get that way because they forget rotation, okay? So this is just a way to add rotation into your day. So we're gonna go down on your side, going down on the floor. The 90-90 refers to 90 degrees at your hip and 90 degrees at your knee, okay? So we're gonna go both hands straight out in front of you, and then we're gonna reach across, and you wanna try to flatten your shoulder blades to the floor without this front knee rising off the floor. So as we rotate this, we wanna make a big separation between the angle of our hips and the direction of our hips and the angle of our shoulders here. So side lying 90-90s, this is usually a great stretch. This usually feels good. You might feel this in your low back, you might feel this in your upper back. Third exercise is called a couch stretch. This is gonna be a big hip flexor and quad stretch. And again, I'll explain to you at the end as to why these movements in particular are effective. But this is a big hip flexor and quad stretch. So we're in the gym, so we're gonna use a bench to elevate our foot. If you're at home, you can use a chair or the couch, which is where this thing got its name. But we're gonna go foot up on the bench, and then that same knee is going down to the floor. We use a pad in here just to protect your patella tendon a little bit, but this is just going to be a big reach forward. So keep your torso nice and tall. We don't want to bend over here, and then we don't, on the contrary, want to overextend here. Just keeping your torso nice and neutral. If you want to get really fancy with this, squeeze that back glute. The harder you squeeze that glute, the stretch reflex will kick in on the front side, and you'll feel a deeper stretch in your quad and your hip flexor. All right, the fourth exercise is called a pigeon pose, and I'm going to show you a couple different variations. So a lot of people are familiar with the pigeon pose. We're going to add a little bit of a spin to this. Literally, I guess we're gonna add a spin to this. But if you have really, really tight hips, this incline bench is gonna help you a lot. So you shouldn't feel this in your knee at all. This should all be a back hip stretch. If you have really tight hips, you're gonna wanna start on the incline, okay? This is kind of the easiest option for this stretch. If you've got a little bit more mobility, you can go into a flat stretch or a flat bench here to hit this stretch. And then if you're really flexible, you can do this straight from the floor, okay? Those are your 3 progressions. But we're gonna go into this pigeon pose. My back leg is straight. We're gonna reach underneath, and then we're going to rotate up, okay? So this is adding some more of that rotation into your hip stretch. So this is a really efficient and effective way to work a couple common hot spots. But pigeon pose with a rotation, big fluid movement there. All right, exercise number 5, we call this a dead bug with a stick. We've got this mobility stick here, but you can easily use a broomstick or anything you have laying around home. So this is gonna be a nice reference point for neutral spine, okay? So we're gonna be kind of teaching you what neutral spine and a tight core feels like with this exercise. So we're gonna go down on our back here. And again, neutral spine here is head on the floor, mid-back on the floor, tailbone on the floor, okay? So if your head is off the floor, this is a fault. So we're gonna be driving this stick into the wall, and you're gonna feel this. The harder you push this stick into the wall, the more your core is going to engage. So we're gonna go into this 90-90 position, And we're gonna do an alternating leg reach here, maintaining that neutral spine, maintaining pressure on the floor, and maintaining tension into the wall. So another little trick that I'll use is imagine there was a towel on the floor. So if I was laying across a towel, I shouldn't be able to pull that towel out from underneath me. So if your back is arched up off the floor and you could pull the towel out from underneath you, that's also a fault. So keep that towel smashed into the floor and keep that stick smashed into the wall. So now I'm gonna explain why these movements can affect your posture, okay? So if you were to think of like normal, this is kind of a funky diagram here, but you'll get the idea. So if you think of this as like a simple diagram of like the human body, this is your hip joint, okay? So front of the hips, back of the hips, knee, ankle, foot, right? Everybody has a natural curvature of the spine. We should have a natural curvature of the spine. So typically, improper posture is caused from your hip angles. So most people's pelvis here is actually angled forward, which causes a compensation pattern in the curvature of your spine, okay? And so these exercises are trying to recorrect common faults in your pelvic angle, okay? So we're trying to take your pelvic angle from an anterior pelvic tilt, which is what this is. We're trying to pull it back level, which will align the center of mass on the curvature of your spine, okay? So that's what we're doing here. So if you think of the exercises that we just did, we kind of started with the upper body movements, but this is adding tension and adding strength to this upper part of your back, okay? So this is your pull-aparts. It's also mobilizing the upper part of your back so that when you get into this position, your body can hold it there, okay? So we're working the musculature of your upper back to hold you in a proper posture. We're also stretching your quads and your glutes with the couch stretch and with the pigeon pose, kind of for that same reason, right? If you allow length here in your quad, then it's going to allow space for that pelvis to tilt up a little bit. Your pigeon pose is doing the same thing. It's allowing space to be created in those hips. And then the last one that we were working on was your core. So again, as you strengthen your core musculature here on that dead bug, it's going to again help pull that pelvis up into a proper position. So these exercises are really effective for correcting bad posture. If you're doing these consistently over the course of 3 weeks, you know, if you're doing them 3 or 4 times a week over the course of 3 weeks, your posture will improve. So that's going to be today's video. As always, train hard, live full. See you in the next one.